much I almost missed work. So it's been a rough go. And I open with that because I just want to cut to the chase and say that I have irritable bowel syndrome. And I want to share my personal experiences with that with all of you tonight. So hopefully we can learn from each other. I've always had it, but I didn't always know it. And that's because you grow up with some things and you take them just as a given. Someone who grows up blind, they're never going to know what colors are, and they accept that and they understand them in a different way. Or like someone who grows up missing a limb will learn how to use the rest of theirs better to accommodate. I grew up just accepting that 2 to 3 times a day inside of my stomach there would open a dimension to a rusty pain terror hole that would fill my intestines with angry ghosts, and that's just what life was. So, but I eventually started to realize that's not the case. Oddly enough, when I went to China a few years ago, I went there for a school thing, and all of a sudden I just stopped pooping completely, which is a weird thing to do in China, because one of my favorite foods there was hot pot, which is like chicken feet and duck intestines in the spiciest boiling oil you've ever seen. And that's food that like you shouldn't be allowed to eat unless you're already sitting on a toilet. But I just had nothing for days. But I wasn't worried at first. I thought it was actually really cool. And like it took me until I was like 28 years old, but I finally figured it out. And I'm running at 100% efficiency. This is fantastic. Not a drop is going to waste, and I'm a perfect human being now. But then again, as the other night, I started having my stomach hurt so bad I couldn't sleep. And so I had to go to the doctor, which is fun when you're in China and you don't speak Chinese. And so I had a friend go with me, and she had to translate for me. And so I'm with her and the doctor. And the doctor's like, okay, well, why are you here? And I'm just like, I stopped pooping. And then they go on to have a 5-minute conversation, which obviously covers way more than information than I just gave them. So I'm starting to get a little worried. And then she turns back to me and she's like, okay, the doctor needs to know what your symptoms are. Like, poop isn't coming out of my butt. And this leads to another long conversation. And then she turns back again, and she's like, okay, now she wants to know what your primary complaint is. No poop. And it's clear it's not getting through. Poor phrasing there. But, yeah, I don't really know. And so I'm resorting to, I have to pantomime it. I'm just like, and somehow that's enough to get her to understand. And so she gives my friend 3 different types of medicine, and the friend explains them to me. And it's weird because she initially diagnosed me too. And China, I have every reason to believe, like, has the same like medical technology as the rest of the world, but they also use herbal medicine and really weird old-timey shit. So the doctor's official diagnosis was that I had too much wind and fire. Which I've never had before. That was the good thing to deal with. And so she gave me 3 medicines, and my friend explained to me, like, well, this one you grind up and you put in some sort of tea, and that'll help just kind of like calm you down and settle you in general. This other one is the actual tea. It's supposed to be a digestive. It also settles your stomach and, you know, helps you relax a little bit. The 3rd medicine she gave you, she said, only take if the other 2 don't work, and it's a laxative. I'm like, oh, so it's great. You gave me 2 things that do absolutely nothing, and a 3rd that will actually get the point done. That's like if I went to a doctor in the States and he's like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go home and take a bubble bath. After that, I want you to call your mom and see how your life is going with her. And then go to another doctor that knows what the fuck they're talking about. But it works, and things were good. Until I got back to the States and I maintained my shitty lifestyle, I invented a sandwich I want to tell you about. It's called the Arch McDouble Down Surf and Turf Deluxe. It involves going to 2 separate fast food restaurants. You go to McDonald's and you get a double cheeseburger, fries, and a fish fillet. And then you go to KFC gypsy and you get a double down, and you take every piece apart and you put the fish in the middle, you wrap it in the double down, you wrap that in the burger patties, you wrap that in some french fries, you take the top bun from each of the whole sandwiches and you put those on the top and bottom, you throw away the bottom buns. So your bun has, your best sandwich now has two tops. It's a sandwich that essentially has no end or no beginning. And so far I've eaten 2 of those. And I can't eat a third. 1, because I'm scared I'll drop down dead, and 2, the gypsy that gave me the recipe told me if I have a third, she would steal my tongue as payment. So that's the end of that. But my problems continue to happen, but they got a lot worse. And this next part's going to be real rough, so I want us to go through it slowly and love and respect each other as I say this. One day after using the bathroom, I looked down and thought, that's funny, I don't remember eating that much blood. And so then I went to the doctor. And I told him what happened. And he's like, oh, okay, well, there's nothing physically wrong with you. Which, number 1 sign, you're at the wrong doctor. If you tell someone you're shitting blood, and they're like, I don't see a physical issue. And so he tells me I'm too stressed. And I'm like, he's like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm a law student right now. And he's like, oh, that explains everything. I'm like, that explains everything? Like, I have trouble with my contracts exam, and now I'm shitting blood, and that explains everything? He's like, it's fine, you just, there's no physical cause. Take these antidepressants to help with it. The fun thing about antidepressants, though, is that they also cause constipation. And so the doctor has given me a medicine that essentially takes away my ability to both give or take a shit. And it really had me reminiscing for the days that I just had too much wind and fire. But that's about where I want to end, except there's one last thing I want to mention before I get off stage, and I thought of it on the way here. And it starts off with a goal I've had as a comedian for a long time, and that's to get pure comedy sex. And that's like, all comedians, you hope, eventually hook up after shows, and that's fine. But I haven't had that happen where someone is like, you were so funny that my pants fell off, and now this has to happen. And I realized that after telling jokes about having terrible bowel disorders, probably not the best time to try your luck. But I want to share with all of you, and we'll see what it works on, my little pickup line I figured out on the drive here. And that is, hey, I hope you liked the show. You listened to 5 minutes of me talking about how wrecked my guts are. How about I take a crack at wrecking yours? Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the show.